Hey Yogi, welcome back to the next video in the arm balance series. Hopefully you've enjoyed a couple of the videos so far. So today we're looking at Parsva Bakasana or side crow, and this is just going to be a little quick tutorial, couple of little cheats and hacks to help you on your way. As always, you need to make sure the wrists are nice and warm, so if you haven't warmed the wrists, go back to the first video, the link will just be above, and warm everything up and then come back. We will use a block, but it's not essential. The same drills apply whether you're on the block or not. The block is really just there for anyone that's struggling to lift the feet off the floor. Okay, so side crow. So this is a really cool little arm balance because from here we can go into other things such as Ekapada Kundinyasana, which we'll cover in a different video. But side crow is a really nice arm balance to kind of take us into some other transitions. So it's a nice one to start to practice on and have in your repertoire. So I'll show you how we get into it. And then we'll break down kind of some of the things that we need to be working on or thinking about. So I'll bring my big toes to touch and I'll come into a toe stand. I'm really engaging in the belly and I'm engaging the thighs, squeezing the legs together. I want to keep a nice, strong frame in the lower half of the body to help me lift. Take the hands into the center of the chest, into Anjali Mudra. Really press the palms together. Now I'm going to twist to the right. Once I've got the twist, I'm lowering both hands down to the mat. So here I want to be able to have the back of this arm connected to the top of the bottom of the thigh, the outside of the knee. This back arm is just connected to the outside of the top of the thigh where the thigh and the hip meet. I'm spreading the fingers as always in any arm balance. My gaze, the drishti, is probably just off the mat here because I'm quite high up the mat. So I'm looking forward to send the weight forward as always. Now from here, squeezing everything in, engaging everything. Then I lift the hips up, keep the connection to the arms, start to come forward. And then, boom, I just pop up the feet. So I'm looking forward, I'm squeezing heels into the butt, pointing the toes. And here I am, side crow. And I'll come back down. So in that one, I had both arms connected. I'm going to show you the full kind of expression of the pose where we don't have the back arm connected. But this is a great place to start to build just the awareness in kind of transferring the weight whilst the body's twisted. So in crow, baby crow, lots of arm balances, we're going forward. Here we're twisting and lifting. So it's just a little bit different to get your head around. So I think working with both arms in is a good place to start. And then when you're ready, you can take the back arm away. So a few things that we've got to consider here, and I'll break it down again and go on the block this time. So we really need to engage. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is, if we just try and fling the legs up, they're going to feel quite heavy and dense. What we want to do is squeeze the legs together so that we're kind of turning on all of these muscles, all the muscles that make up the thigh, the kind of four muscles in the quads, but all of these different muscles here, we really want to squeeze in towards the body. So we don't want to be flaring out, we want to be squeezing in. That then keeps engagement and tightness, which, you know, my teacher always says tight is light, and it's really true. So you really want to squeeze the lower body in. Secondly is the belly. Like all arm balances, we've really got to, we can't just chill out in the belly, we've got to turn the belly on. So we've got to lift the belly, lift the pubic bone, lift up, squeeze back, and just have everything zinging in this area. So if you're not trying to like kind of turn the belly in by squeezing in and up, then you're not going to have that upward lift that you need, because we need to go up, forward, and then the feet come up. The next thing you need to be thinking about is the twist. So you need to be able to twist the body round and drop the hands. So if that's really difficult for you and you kind of get this far and the hands won't come all the way, then that's a great place for you to be working on is that twist. And there are lots of twisted postures within just any regular vinyasa class. If you take, Ashtanga, lots of the seated postures will have a twist element like Marichyasana. So there's loads of ways to just keep working on being able to kind of, if you imagine the spine as just a big stick, you kind of want to be able to turn laterally along the axis of the spine. So you need to be working on that twisted movement. And that might be the limitation initially. And it may not be anything to do with sort of strength or balance. It might just be that because the twist is limited, then you're starting from a weaker position. The hands, as always, we're spreading the fingers. We're gripping into the mat with the fingertips. The fingertips are controlling how far forward or back we will go, and they're kind of keeping us in balance. And then the drishti, the gaze. The gaze should really, for me, when I'm twisting, the gaze is kind of just going off the mat and almost towards Burley, who's looking very angelic, sleeping there. The other thing to think about is something that is really common in this posture is that the hands come down and there's no kind of work in the arms to prepare, and the elbows just bend and the elbows just go out to the side. Now, that's not going to give you the stability. Like if I try to lift up here, kind of even just lifting the knees up with the arms flaring out, it's really difficult. Whereas if I just wrap the triceps in, so basically try and turn the arms, the upper arm slightly so that the soft bit of my elbow points forward and the rough bit of my elbow is going backwards, I can lift the feet off much easier. There's a lot more kind of control. Lift the knees off, sorry. So really think about when you're coming into these postures is not letting the elbows flare out to the side, but trying to turn slightly. Now, we don't want to fully wrap and lock. We don't want to be locked ever, but we do want to be just wrapping the triceps, so bring it in. So you'll feel that motion by doing that. And that will just mean that when the arms go backwards, you're stable rather than the arms flaring out to the side. So there's loads of things to think about. This is not, it's a great posture. It's not the easiest of poses, and it takes practice. So we'll try on the block because that'll demonstrate what happens, what you can do if you're struggling to lift off. So it's exactly the same principle as crow. So I'm just going to come to stand here on the block, and I've got my big toes touching. So now again, I'm facing the wrong way. So again, I'm coming into my toe stand. I'm really engaging all the muscles. Now I'm going to twist. I'm going to lean forward, drop the hands, wrapping those triceps in, and then lifting my butt up, lifting the hips up, and then the feet can just pop off. There's really not much work here to lift the feet because I'm already on the block. So I've already got a few inches, and then I'll come back onto the block or half on the block. So the block's just there to help give you some height. What we don't want to do in these poses is be sort of kicking and flaring, because that will send you off balance. You almost want the feet to just lift. It's quite a light lift, it's not a jump. So what we don't want to be doing is coming up and lifting the hips and then trying to jump up. Because you might be able to hold it, but you'll probably only hold it for maybe a second, and then because you kind of jumped into it, you're going to put the body off balance. So really what the motion is it's a lean forward, and it's just a lift really. You're kind of going to lean so much forward, send the weight so forward that the feet should just come up. So that's that variation. What we then do, once you've got that, is look at taking the arm away. So it's probably going to be easier if I show you from this angle. So I'll just pop the block away. So yeah, the full expression of Parsva Bakasana is where we have the back arm not connected. Now it's no problem if you're not able to do that. It'll come with time. It definitely takes practice, and I would say work on having both arms connected before you try and go any further. So we'll come into the toe stand, as always, prepping up, squeezing everything in, taking my gaze ahead, dropping the hands. Now I'm going to take this arm slightly off. So I'm not going miles away, but I'm going far away with the hand that it's not, when I bend my elbow, I've not got that connection. I'm going to make sure that this arm is now taking the weight. This is now the weight bearer. So I need to make sure that that connection is really stable. Wrapping the tricep so that the elbow goes backward. Then I lift the hips up. I lean forward, and again, the toes will just come up. And then I come back down. So yeah, taking the arm out, the key thing there is to not let the shoulder dip loads. So what will tend to happen is one shoulder, see if I can exaggerate it and show you, will kind of fall down like this, so that your face is kind of nearly on the floor. We don't want that. That means that, I mean, you know, if that happens the first few times while you're learning, that's fine, but we don't want to get the body into thinking that that's the pose, because, you know, we want stability in the shoulder, and that's going to be quite a lot on this shoulder, or whichever shoulder's taking the dip. So keep the shoulders nice and level. So a great thing to do is to film yourself. And also a great thing to do would be to just place the block out in front of you and make sure that the shoulders aren't touching the block. So if you were to kind of come forward, I think that's roughly going to be shoulder distance. What you don't want is, as you come forward, you don't want the shoulders to go on the block. So if this shoulder is kissing the block, okay, you've gone too low with one shoulder. Don't ever put weight on these blocks though. You know, they're there as a guide, as a visual for you. So, okay, I'm not touching it, great. Oh, I'm touching it with one shoulder, obviously one shoulder's dipping. The easiest way to know all of this is to film yourself. It always sounds a little bit, you know, film myself, but that is the best way to progress with some of these asanas, is film yourself and then look back and be like, ah, right, that's what I'm doing. It feels a bit funny there, and that's why. The only other final hack that I will give, and I will show this with the arm out because it doesn't matter, is some people struggle to just get they've got the ability to lift the feet, but the feet just don't want to come up. They're kind of wedged to the floor. For that, we've got a really nice little cheat here. So I lift my hips, I lean forward, and what happens is it feels like a bit stuck. What you do is walk, so creep the toes out. Eventually they're going to go so far out, there's nowhere for them to go but to lift. And then you can pop them in and hold it for side crow. So yeah, side crow, hopefully a few things there for you to have a think about. Again, breaking it down, the key things are, make sure that you have the twist. So if you go to twist and you're nowhere near, then stop, work on postures that are going to send you nice and deep into the twist. The next thing is all the engagement. So squeezing the legs in, engaging the belly. The gaze is ahead, probably a bit further ahead than crow, so take the gaze ahead. Come onto the block if you're struggling to lift the feet off, or walk the feet out. Start with both arms connected to the outside of the leg of the side you're twisting, but take one arm away and start to practice with that once you've got it. And film yourself. Film yourself, you know, hopefully you've got a yoga teacher that's kind of an in-person teacher. You know, sometimes my students will send me a video or a photo and go, what am I doing wrong? And that's great, you know, I'm sure your local teacher would love that. So yeah, film yourself, look back and be like, okay, have I got one elbow, one shoulder dropping? Are my elbows going back or are they flaring out to the side? So loads of stuff to think about. Hopefully you found something there of help and interest. If you enjoyed the video, then please like, but more importantly, just leave some comments. I want to hear how you're getting on, which one of the tips are you going to be using, did you manage it? As always, if you want to keep seeing what we're doing with the channel, then just hit the subscribe button. I'm sure it'll be somewhere on the screen here. So I'll see you back here soon for the next video in the series.